Hello everyone, and welcome to the tutorial on detailing lights. So what we'll do is start out by drawing a 640 by 640 sector here. So we got that. Now what we're going to do is draw a light fixture up here. We'll make it 384 by 192. Okay. So this is the first thing we're going to mess with. It's going to be a ceiling light. And what we'll do here is we'll select that sector, we'll raise it by 16, and we'll look at the ceiling and we will give it a light texture. Currently it has light 1_2 selected, and we'll go ahead and go with that. That's fine, and we'll push OK. So we have that light set up, and now we'll go ahead and select the lines here and fix that missing texture because we rose the ceiling. Go to side defs, go to upper, and we'll just make that star tan 2 and push OK. Alright, clear that out. Let me do Control W to add my 3D mode start, and we'll go ahead and go into 3D mode. Alright, so here's our light fixture right here, and we'll go ahead and hold Control and we can brighten this up using the mouse up. Mouse wheel up. So I'll just brighten that to full just to show it. Okay, so we have a simple light here, and this is a pretty basic light. But say we want to make this a little more detailed, we can. Let's go ahead and go back into the editor. And instead of all these lights up here, I'll just have a couple lights instead. So we'll just go ahead and draw a sector here in the middle. And we'll do, let me see. That brightness is making it kind of harder to see because it's brighter than the rest of the sector. So I'm going to go to 208. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to draw a sector here in the middle. It's going to be 128 by 64. Okay. And now I'll jump back into 3D mode. And instead of having everything be a light here, I'll just lower this middle part, and that'll just be the light. So we'll change this top texture. And the ceiling texture will be just Sil 5_1 is fine. And push that and push OK. So we got that blackness there, so it kind of separates it. And we'll go ahead and add a metal texture to these. So let me select that. Go to side defs. Go to upper. Select metal. OK. OK. And we'll push Control C to copy it, and we'll hold Shift and push middle mouse, and it'll paste it all the way around for us. Alright, so now we got another, it's still a pretty basic light, but it's got a little more to it. So let's go ahead and add a little more detail. So we'll come in here, and let me get out of visual mode. And I'm going to drop my grid settings down to 8, because it's easier to detail that way, and get more detail in there. So now I'm going to start by drawing a sector on this side, and it'll be 128 by 32. Okay. So we got that, and we'll do it all the way around. It'll be 32 on this side and 64. And this side will be 128 and 32. Oops, let me go ahead and drag that vertice out. Alright. And then this side will be 32 by 64. Okay, so now you can see how we're adding more detail to the light here. So if I go back into visual mode, I can lower these, and we'll copy this metal texture and do a shift. Actually, we could just paste it on there using middle mouse on each of the sides. Alright, so we got that set up. And now that I have this set up like this, these beams are kind of hard to see because they're blending in with the top texture. We can do something different with that top texture instead of having to just leave it this black texture here. We'll select it, and we'll actually go to let's see, we'll go to all textures, and I'm just going to type down here F_sky 1. So here's that texture, And this texture is basically going to donate that it's going to be a sky, so we'll hit OK. Alright, so now we have a light here, and it's got a sky behind it. And then it all really depends on how detailed you want to get, because if I wanted to, I could jump out of visual mode, and I can change my view to ceiling texture, so I can see my ceiling texture here. And I can draw another sector, and I can kind of just draw it around the lights. Oops, messed that up a little bit. Let me redraw that. Alright, so 48 by 32 just around the lights as an example here. And let me go into lines and drag that out one. Alright. So now that we got that, we can jump back into visual mode. And what we can actually do here is push those up in there. If you hold shift, you can do less than 8 increments, so we can push it up like 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is just an example of how you could do it. There's so many ways you can detail. It's pretty much what only thing that limits you is your imagination. Alright, so let me put that and paste that. I probably could have just done a shift paste or a shift middle mouse to make it faster. Alright, and now we can do some basic lighting. I like to make the sky probably the brightest, so we'll just up that to 255. And you can play with these values. I'm just doing simple values for this, for an example. And we'll select the outsides of the lights, and those should probably be just a tad bit lighter than the outer sectors. Alright, and then let me select the lights themselves and brighten those up to 240, not quite as bright as the sky. So with that, let me go ahead and come in here and add a player start. Alright, well that's added. And now we can go ahead and give this the test. So you see, look, the light looks a lot better with the ridges on there, like a little more detailed. So with that quick demonstration, we'll go ahead and head back into the editor. Okay, so now what we'll look at now is actually detailing a wall light. So we'll go ahead and make it over here so it's kind of away from our light on the ceiling. And we'll start by drawing a sector here. And this sector will be 32 by, let's see, 8 is fine. If you can't get to that, just make sure you lower your grid settings down. So we'll go into sectors, and we'll select this, make this a little brighter, and we'll just jump it to 255, that's fine. And we'll put the light texture on there real quick, so we'll jump into lines mode, select this back texture. Go to side defs, select the middle, and go to lights, and we'll do, since it's a 32 size light, we'll use light 3, push OK, push OK again. And now we'll jump into visual mode, and you can see that we got a simple light put in, but it's not too particularly interesting, just a simple light. So we'll jump back out and throw a little detail to that. So the first thing we'll do is try and make a border around it. So we'll just draw a simple 8 by 48 sector here. And let me add some vertices in here so it has another angle to it. So let's see, add one right here and add one right here, and then I'll go into lines mode and just drag this up. Okay, so now if we go back into the visual mode, you can see we can lift this up a little bit. Let's see, we can lift that by 4, can lift this one by 4, and lower this one by 4, or this one by 4. So you see we can get some detail going on in the light there, and we'll just copy this texture and shift paste it over, and we'll use upper and lower unpegs so it automatically fixes the alignment, the X or the Y alignment on this, and then we'll push A to auto align it. And so you can see we have a simple detail to it, and we can add a little more here. So let's go ahead and go back into the editor, and this time I'm going to draw out a square here and a square here, and I'm going to sector mode. I'm going to delete those. I'll push C to clear my selection, and then I will push, let me go into visual mode here, and I'm going to change this to a metal texture. So you can see you can do a lot with the metal texture. So I'll just copy this metal texture from up here, and I'll paste this on the top and bottoms here. Okay, I'm just pasting this around. I didn't want to do a shift paste because it would replace all these walls, and I don't need those replaced. I just need the walls on the light replaced. So now that it's got this metal texture to it, and let me copy the black from this top to part 2. Alright. Oops. Control Z that. Alright, so now you see how we got a way more interesting light going on this wall, and you can mess with alignments and get this to exactly how you align exactly how you want it with the rivets in the wall. So that'll pretty much cover a basic wall light also, because you can, like I said, there's just so many things that you can do with lights, or just detailing in general. You just all in, it's all in your imagination, you know, just whatever you can create. So let me jump back into the editor here, and those are 2 basic examples, and you can get even more detailed with that. Like a lot of recent mods will actually put gradients around lights, and just as an example to show you what I'm talking about, they'll drop it, you know, you can drop this down to 4, zoom in a little bit, and we can draw another square around this one, and this would be brightest point, and then it would start fading off as you create sectors after sector here. So it would start out bright, and then less bright, and then less bright, and then basically create a gradient, and it just adds a little more detail. If you're just going for simple detail, just fine. So with that, that'll pretty much cover simple detailing of lighting. Thank you for watching.